Well, ever since everybody got that first Eternals trailer the other day, the main thing I've heard from every fan of the MCU has been, where were the Eternals when Thanos snapped out half the universe? Well, despite the deluge of memes, it turns out there's a very solid reference in Marvel Comics history to explain exactly where the Eternals were and why they haven't intervened in any of the MCU movies. So sit back, buckle up, and let's go. Now before we dive in, make sure you hit that like and subscribe button, and ring the bell for all the updates. Also, let's not forget about the big giveaway. We're going to give away this PlayStation 5 at 25,000 subscribers. All you have to do to get in on the giveaway is be a subscriber and leave a comment. Also, if you want to support the channel, check out the Buy Me a Coffee link down below. It's a great way to kick a little spare change to support the channel without any future obligations. Thanks. Well, Marvel fans were treated to a new trailer for the Eternals, and we finally got our first full look at the upcoming Marvel Studios movie. Now, like with any trailer, it left people with tons of questions, and the biggest question has been, where were the Eternals when Thanos snapped out half the universe? Well, it turns out there's a pretty clear answer to that. Now, if you're a fan of the comics, you know the Eternals go back to the 1970s, and were the brainchild of Jack Kirby. Now, I've included some links to some comics down below, and that is one of them. And I have to say, if you're looking forward to this movie, you should check out most of these books. And the first one is the full Kirby line of the Eternals. But the way that story is written, it integrates itself into the Marvel Universe at that point in the 1970s. So what about now? It's 2021. Well, if you're a fan of the comics, there was another series in 2006 by Neil Gaiman. And that's where we can look to figure out where the Eternals were while Thanos was killing half the universe. Now, this book was written by the one and only Neil Gaiman, and his take on this is pretty incredible. Now, this could delve into spoiler territory, so let's beware. There are some links to Neil's books down below, so if you want to read them fully, check that out. But we're just going to walk through the part that explains where the Eternals were. I don't want to give away any other story details. This series opens up with us following Icarus, and he's actually searching for his fellow Eternal Makkari. It becomes very clear very quick that the Eternals actually don't remember who they are. That's right, amnesia. Now, in this first issue, we actually find out what happened to the Eternals. And Icarus gives us a great rundown of the history of the race. In the comic, he retells the full story to Makkari, going all the way back in time where the Celestials arrive on Earth and then reshape the primates who currently inhabit the planet into 3 different races. The humans, that's us, about 100 Eternals, and over 1 million deviants. Now, eventually, the Celestials leave the Earth and return thousands of years later. They call this event the Second Horde. Apparently, the deviants fought back against the Celestials, and they were swatted away like the gnats they are. Interestingly enough, the story does go on to say about how their lands were destroyed and were lost beneath the oceans. And if you're a fan of the comics, you know the Deviant City is under the sea. Now, Icarus goes on to say, after the humans were freed from the Deviants, they flourished, and the Eternals helped the humans, encouraging them and inspiring them. And this leads us to the point of where the Eternals have been. Now, what Icarus says is about 30 years ago, the Third Horde appeared, and at this point, Icarus and the rest of the Eternals' minds go blank. Now, I suspect a variation of this story for the movies. Once Icarus is reawoken in the comics, he goes about finding and awakening the rest of the Eternals, which also appears to be an element in the movie. Now, like I said, I'm not going to give away a lot of details because I want to encourage you to read these Neil Gaiman books. They're pretty darn good. But the fact of the matter is, in Marvel Comics mythos, the Eternals have been asleep since the 1970s. Ironically, about the time Jack Kirby brought them to life. This would basically cover the entire modern era of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. But it does suggest that much older races, like the Asgardians, may know of their existence and actually have questions about where they went over this time frame. This is how I believe Kevin Feige and the crew at Marvel Studios are going to integrate this together. They always made it pretty clear these were Jack Kirby's Eternals, but they were going to draw heavily from the Neil Gaiman series. That's exactly what's going on here. So what do you guys think? Are you glad to finally know where the Eternals were when Thanos killed half the universe? And what do you think about Neil Gaiman's take on the Eternals and how he realigned them in the Marvel Comics? And will it work on film? I actually think it will. Sound off in the comments below. If you like this video, make sure you press like, click subscribe, and maybe ring that bell. you ain't getting any updates.